Hey everybody, Chris here with Stitch Crew. In the coming months, we're going to be hosting a series of panels and sessions about the future of work and the care economy. And we've been getting a lot of questions regarding these sessions, what we've been up to, and where we're headed. So we decided to do this video to give everybody an update on what we're doing. And if you have any questions after today's video, please comment on this video or send us an email, and we'll try to get those answered for you. In the meantime, Gabby, I'm going to hand it off to you, and you can give everybody an update on what we've been up to so far in 2022.
So at the beginning of this year, we hosted our inaugural Building Together cohort. It was a group of 10 women founders learning with and from each other. In the past, I think people are used to our accelerators, our accelerator programs. So 12 weeks, fast paced, just learning everything from launching to fundraising. This time it was a little bit more paced out. So 4 months working with this group of women entrepreneurs. Again, how to grow their company and kind of reach their first million. And this was a group of a diverse set of companies, everything from health tech to agriculture and catering. So super fun. At the end of that program, we did our Building Together event, which is a half-day event full of panels that the women entrepreneurs actually were a part of. Again, talking to aspiring entrepreneurs, current entrepreneurs about what it's like to launch your company, what it's like to build and grow, and with the community around you as well. We also had guest speakers from different capital access options. So super fun, catered by one of the companies as well. So very different from kind of what we've done before. And then, as if that wasn't enough, we decided to go ahead and do 2 programs at the same time. So towards the end of that program, we launched the Inclusive Beauty Accelerator. And that one we did with BASF Care Creations, one of the largest ingredient suppliers and innovators in the global personal care industry. We had a total of 6 female founders, 6 companies in the beauty and personal care space. Again, going over everything from working with the lab, distributors, fundraising, and that was in 6 weeks. So a lot crammed into a short amount of time, but again, so much learning, so much fun with those founders. And at the end of it, we met them. Well, Chris and Erica met them there in New York at the BASF headquarters. They did kind of a condensed clinical trial, got to benchmark some of their products, check out our reels. You can see a little bit about it there and how the day-long full of events was. And then they got to pitch their companies at the end to the founders and mentors that they'd been working with. They 6 weeks. And that was just in the beginning of this year. So lots crammed into a short amount of time. And I know we're working on so much stuff coming up next. And I think, that's kind of what we wanted to talk about here is where we're headed. So I think something that people have asked about is, what are we doing second half of the year? Are we hosting another accelerator cohort?
So no, we're not gonna do another cohort for Q3 or Q4 of this year. But we do have a lot of great content that we're going to be releasing out over this time period to help to continue to help entrepreneurs launch and scale their companies. We release a lot of this stuff through our YouTube channel, our social networks, and things like that. So if you're not subscribed to our newsletter and those types of things, that would be a great time to do that, because that's where we're going to release a lot of our content. What we do have in the works, though, for 2023 are some initiatives that would put us back into some cool cohort-based programming. So stay tuned for that. We're not quite ready to announce that or release that because we're kind of wrapping up the details of that. But we do love working in those groups and those cohorts. It's a passion for us. So we do want to get back to that, but it's just going to take another couple months to work that out. So that's where we are. Stay tuned for more on the cohorts.
But we do have some fun stuff coming up. Oh, Erica, you're muted.
I was going to say that. I said, but we do still have programming, the Q3 and Q4. So what does that look like, Abs?
So this fall, we're hosting a series of workshops focusing on the future of work and care economy. You can go to stitchcrew.com/events to find those. Our first one is coming up soon, and we'll be talking about that more here soon. But I do think it's important to kind of know why are we even focusing on the future of work and care economy?
You want the truth?
First of all, it's a multi-trillion-dollar opportunity. And, just think about this, 85% of the jobs that will exist 10 years from now don't exist today. So we want to be at the forefront of that. And we believe that entrepreneurs are the ones designing what that future work looks like and what those jobs would look like and the tools that we're going to be using 10 years from now to enable employers to better communicate with a flexible and remote and hybrid workforce. Where are we going to be working 10 years from now? What tools, how do we incorporate AI and other technologies? So we want to be at the forefront of that, and that's why we're focusing on the future of work and supporting entrepreneurs that are kind of in that niche. And then the care economy, listen, the COVID pandemic, I think, taught us one thing, actually reinforced one thing that we already knew, and that is that our care infrastructure is broken. And proof of that was the disproportionate number of women that left the workplace because they were the primary caregiver in their family, and they either had to take care of children or parents or grandparents. And so we're going to be talking a lot about that. What is the care economy? What is the care infrastructure? Where are the gaps? Where are the opportunities? It's actually a $648 billion opportunity that we don't talk about a lot. And so we're going to be covering all of those sectors, all of those opportunities, and hopefully even inspire more entrepreneurs to get into the space, right? To come up with these solutions, to come up with supply systems for these two sectors.
I'm really excited about these because I feel like as broad as they may be and maybe as undefined, I feel like, because we get asked this a lot, like, what are these sectors? But, they're both influenced by technological, generational, social shifts, and those are always changing. So I think there's a great opportunity, and that's one of the reasons why as many things as we probably could choose to focus on, these two sectors are just really exciting, I think.
Absolutely. And it's a need, right? Like our economy can't function without them. And we're seeing it now. I serve on multiple boards. I know you guys do too, and in the community in general. And I don't know a meeting that I've been to in the last 6 months where everybody's saying the main challenge that they're figuring out is they can't hire enough. They can't hire fast enough. There's a lot of competition when it comes to workforce and even retention of employees, right? What benefits do we offer to keep employees engaged? How do we create a more flexible and inclusive work environment? So I'm excited about all of those things because I really do believe that by focusing in those two, we can create a more inclusive economy, which is our mission, and more inclusive workspaces, which will increase labor force participation.
So is this just like a corporate thing?
No, it's across the board, right? So you can be in philanthropy, you can be in nonprofit sector, you can be in financial sectors. I mean, this workplace, the labor force is the labor force, so it impacts industries across the board. So the good thing is that these workshops and everything that we'll be doing, one of the reasons why we're going to try to do more content live for everybody to see and open our workshops for everybody to join is because we believe this impacts everyone.
The pandemic has also shown that, it's not just getting a 9-to-5 job. People are working from home. People are working in non-traditional jobs nowadays. The creator economy is booming, and I think that's also an important thing to note.
Absolutely. In fact, in our first workshop that we have coming up, and I know you're going to talk about that, Gabby, but we have Sky that will be joining us to talk specifically about the creator economy and the opportunities that exist, not just for entrepreneurs, but for anybody to tap into it.
Yeah, we're super excited about that and can't wait to talk about that more. So I think, Erica, you mentioned it a little bit, but is this workshop open to the public?
Open to the public. Definitely need to register for the panels. So, Gabby, where would they go to register for these panels?
So stitchcrew.com/events. The first one is open. The first workshop is open for registration, and then the others are to come as well. It is in person. We are planning on in the future making the recording available, and then to host a virtual one just to make it even more broadly accessible. But the first one is in person.
At the Thunder Launchpad. So it is open to the public, but the sooner you register, the better, because there is the space is limited. So I would, if you're interested in joining us, I would go ahead and RSVP ASAP. And also, I'm gonna nag a little bit. Love for everybody to join us. Love for everybody to register. But if something comes up, which we know things come up at the last minute, be sure to let us know that you're not going to be able to make it, because unfortunately, because the space is limited, if you register, we block the space for you. But if you don't make it, that means somebody else didn't get to make it. So we totally get it. Things happen. Just let us know so that we can open that spot back up for other people that might be interested in joining us.
And that will be August 17th. I don't think we've said the date yet. So August 17th, 4 p.m. for the panel. I guess this is a good time to talk about it. We'll have AJ Griffin from Paycom joining us. We'll also have Alana Walker from Tailwind, and then Sky Latimer, VP of Innovations at We the People. Super excited about the panel on this. Join us for the panel. Stay for happy hour afterwards. So that is what we have coming up programming-wise the last half of this year. But I think super important to note, we just had big news.
Tell me more.
I'm happy to announce that through VESS, which is the other organization that we founded in 2020 to support women in the workplace, just announced a $20 million fund to invest in women-led companies in the care economy and future of work. So we were super excited to announce that. We've raised a good portion of the fund already, and we'll be looking to fundraise throughout all of Q3. But we're already making investments. In fact, we made our first investment a week ago, and we continue to look at deal flow. Super excited about the fund. A little bit of why we're focusing. Well, we just talked about why we're focusing on the future of work in the care economy. So I'll talk a little bit about why women-led companies. Despite women still accounting for 80% of consumer spending and being huge influencers when it comes to enterprise and B2B purchasing decisions, we still only account for 3% of venture capital. And I know you guys hear me say that all the time, and it's just unfortunate. And I will say 3% of venture capital, 18% when it comes to mixed teams, right? So you have co-founding teams that have both women and male co-founders. So there is progress, but not fast enough. And so that's why we decided to launch this fund, because we believe that if we're going to be reinventing how we work and redefining what our care infrastructure looks like, I think women need to be at the forefront of that, and they need to have a seat at the table. And if we're not funding them, that's more unlikely to happen.
Erica, you had said that you didn't really want to become a fund manager. I know the fund has been an on and off talk, behind the scenes, but curious as to your thought on that, Erica.
I think that everybody that has followed our work with Stitch Crew, and Chris, you can allude to this as well, and Gabby, of course, less than 1% of startups ever raise venture capital, right? And venture capital is not for everyone. Venture capital is meant to expedite the growth and opportunity for companies. But you can also reach scale by growing either organically or through other forms of financing. And Stitch Crew has been very adamant about making sure that entrepreneurs know that they have options. Just because you're not venture backed doesn't mean that you can't build a scalable company. Venture capital, again, it's not the only option. There's revenue-based financing. There is traditional financing, and we continue to encourage several other financiers to develop new solutions, right, to fill that gap. So we've always been hesitant to raise a fund because we didn't want to further drive that narrative that, you know, only venture capital is sexy or only venture-backed companies are the future. That's not true. And we want to, and that remains true. Like we'll be very much committed through Stitch Crew and through the work we do at Vest to ensure that entrepreneurs continue to know that there are options. Also, venture capital is the most expensive type of capital that you can get because you're given portions away from your company. So we always want to be super transparent about that. Yeah, so I think that's one of the biggest hesitations. The other one is I've been there and done that through my previous career. And I know that a lot of people romanticize with getting into this space. And it's tough. I mean, I would tell you, and you guys have seen it, right? We're fundraising that right now. And somebody said this the best on Twitter the other day that said, you know, venture capital is often disguised as a financier job, but in reality is more of a sales job or something like that. I'm paraphrasing, but it's totally true. We have to sell the fund. We have to sell why we're investing in women, why we're investing in the future of work, why we're investing in the care economy, why this matters, why now. So anyway, it's, and I'd rather spend my time actually helping entrepreneurs instead of just fundraising, but we're going to get there and then we'll get back to work and supporting entrepreneurs.
It is important for us. It always has been that we work with the companies. So for us, again, this is something that we've been thinking about for years. We've been asked this for years, you know, if we're going to do a fund. And the timing, I guess, wasn't right because our answer has always been, well, I don't think that's really what we need to focus on. But all that to say is, yeah, if you know me, you know that VC is not usually my first recommendation to a company. There's lots of other ways to capitalize and finance your company. But anyway, we're excited about it. Once we make the decision to do it, we're all in, and we do want to make sure that we're providing as much value to the companies as we can. So in addition to capital, for better or for worse, you're going to get Stitch Crew and the three of us, and we're going to work really hard to make your company as the best we can make it. So we're excited about it, and we're off to the races.
I think we talked about just what we have coming up, you know. So workshops, again, to reiterate, workshops, check out the link in our bio, check out the link on our YouTube page, or just go to stitchcrew.com/events, register. Be sure to register. Let us know if you can't make it, but register. August 17th, 4 p.m. for panel, happy hour afterwards, and then the other two workshops in September and October. And then stay tuned for more. Subscribe to our newsletter for sure, because we have so much more coming up. But just kind of like how we got into, you know, 2 cohorts at the beginning of this year, workshops and fundraising, there's a lot going on. So would love to hear how you guys are balancing everything. I kind of have my way, but love to hear from you guys.
Well, we're not. We're not balancing everything. Gosh.
How are you doing it, Gabby?
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah, we want to know your trick.
One day at a time. One day at a time.
I think we're trying to do the same thing that we tell founders. It's just, and I think you guys will laugh because I'm probably the worst one at it. But, you know, we have to say no to certain things so that we can do stuff like this. So I would say that has come more to light this year where we had to turn down opportunities so that we can focus on the things that make sense for us moving forward. And sometimes that sucks, especially for me, because you guys all know I have fear of missing out, FOMO, sometimes, or and I like to please people other times. So, or we decide, yeah, let's do 2 cohorts at a time. We can do it. And on top of everything else.
think you had a little panic attack.
And then being more intentional about the things that we do decide to engage. I know we can't talk about it, but a lot of what you'll see coming up in 2023, it's just building more partnerships regionally, right? We want to support entrepreneurs in the middle of the country where traditionally the flow of capital hasn't been as abundant as in the coast. So we'll be developing lots of partnerships with other players in there to make sure that we're reaching traditionally overlooked entrepreneurs in our region. But I'm curious, Gabby, because you did say that you're managing it. So I am curious as to how you're managing it.
No, I said I have my way of managing it, which is just one day at a time. I think definitely as a crew, we kind of help each other out, whether it's saying no, telling us to like, okay, take a break. It's the weekend.
Chris, how are you managing things?
Well, you guys know I try to use technology. I try to use apps, reminders, project management applications, which is, a little bit of my background, but I don't know. Half the time I feel like I'm winging it, which sucks to admit, but I will say this, it is hard to say no. And we could have maybe squeezed in a cohort here, but fundraising is a full-time job. I mean, if anybody tells you that it's not, they either haven't done it or they're lying. I mean, it takes a collective effort from all three of us to do it and do it well. And there's also a learning curve. I'll admit that. I'm not too ashamed to say that there's a lot of things that we're also learning, and it has forced us to turn away some opportunities that we would love to have done, but it's going to be worth it in the end. And, the upside is the things that we're learning now from our own fundraising we're going to be happy to pass those on as lessons learned and tips and tricks to the founders too. So
and to fund managers that want to get into space
and to fund managers. Absolutely. It seems like it's competitive and it's competitive nature. And I guess maybe it is in some ways, but I don't see it that way. We don't see it that way. I don't think, we want to help other fund managers too, and we've had a lot of existing fund managers already reach out to us and want to know how they can help and pitch in. So, we love that. The collaboration is what we're all about. So, we're happy to pass on what we learned.
Yeah. By the way, big shout out to Marie Drota, who has been instrumental in helping us navigate all of this, and along with other fund managers that have shown their support from day one. But also, to your point, Chris, yes, we want to help other fund managers, particularly women and people of color. I can't end this without saying, one of the problems with the flow of venture capital is the lack of diversity in the space, right? So you've heard us talk about this before. Less than 3% goes to women, less than 2% goes to entrepreneurs of color. Well, if you look at who makes up the industry, less than 10% of investors in venture capital are women, less than 2% are Latinx, and even fewer African-American investors. So we need to change the stage of who's writing those checks and making those decisions. It's, and so we are all about sharing all the lessons learned, what to do, what not to do, so that other people also get in the space. And then we're going to be talking about that too, like, what are the barriers, what are the bias, what are the inequities in launching a fund, even as a fund manager. So yeah, be sure to, in fact, I just thought of that, thinking about what we shouldn't add to our table. We should add some content on becoming a fund manager so that we can, Gabby and Chris are looking at me like, oh my gosh, Erica, what else are you going to throw? Anyway, but I think it's important and it's very critical to our mission.
So next update, throw in all your questions in the comments about what it's like, the real deal about becoming a fund manager, and Erica and Chris will answer them all next update.
I want to take a few questions.
It's all about building together, learning with and from each other, no matter what stage you're in. Anything else to add?
I do want to, because I know that some funders also follow us on socials in our media. So I want to make sure that we clarify something. So we talked about 3 entities today, and they're all individual entities, right? So you have Stitch Crew, which is our 501c. So it's our nonprofit arm. where we provide resources, tools, and networks to traditionally overlooked entrepreneurs. That means entrepreneurs in areas where flow of capital doesn't traditional flow. That means women, people of color, launching businesses and scaling businesses in our region. And we do that in a non-dilutive way. So we don't have to take equity. We don't, we do all of that thanks to our sponsors that funds us. So when Chris is talking about fundraising, we're not just fundraising for the fund. We fundraise for the 501c3 and Stitch Crew as a nonprofit. Then we have BEST, which is a for-profit company. It's a private network of professional women learning with and from each other and discussing the invisible barriers that often get in the way of enabling women to reach economic mobility and workplace mobility. That's another business that we run. And then we have the fund. So 3 different entities, all managed completely separate. But anyway, I just wanted to make that super clear because as we're talking to funders and fund managers, I feel like I have to separate the 3 entities to clarify.
Maybe you shouldn't have said that because you know me, I never miss an opportunity to fundraise. So this is shameless, but that's okay. I am always talking to potential sponsors and sponsorship potential for Stitch Crew. So anybody listening, we're already telling you about a lot of the cool stuff we're going to be doing. There's a train going by right now. I apologize for that background noise. But anyway, if you're interested and want to talk more about what we're doing, I'm always looking for like-minded and aligned companies to come on board and work with us. So let me know, Chris@stitchcrew.com, and I will follow up directly.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're interested in learning more about the fund, you do have to be an accredited investor. That's by SEC rules. But if you're interested in learning more, don't hesitate to reach out to me and or Gabby, and we're happy to give you more details. More importantly, I always, people always ask, how do we help women, particularly around these times and these everything that's happening. You can sponsor women, you can invest in women, you can promote women, you can, really, it's not just about talking about supporting women, it's about doing the things, right? So think of different ways. And even if you are not in a position where you can invest, you can always figure out ways to sponsor women within your own workplace, sponsor them to join BEST. Or just, amplify their efforts, whatever it is that they're doing, amplify the challenges that they have to fix, become allies, but not allies in the sense of like, put that in your profile or whatever. No, I'm saying do the work. If you see something that really precludes women from achieving more economic mobility, say something so that it's not always, and I'm talking to men now, so that it's not always women having to say these things. I just wanted to throw that out there since we're here, and appreciative of Chris. He is one of the biggest feminists, and always when we say, hey, we're going to do this to support women, he's the first one to sign in. And I know we actually were very lucky at Stitch Crew. We have a lot of male peers that every time we say we're going to do something, they jump in and help us out, whether through sponsorships or by mentoring the women entrepreneurs that have been in our program or investing in them. So I want to give a shout out there, and please continue to do it and continue to do it perhaps a little bit harder in these times. So that's it.
This is super fun. And yes, definitely drop any questions you have in the comments. And we will be trying to do more of these updates on our YouTube page as well as social pages, just to kind of get to know what we're up to. So subscribe, like, comment, subscribe to our newsletter, follow us on social, do all of the things.